All right, hello class. We are going to classify numbers today. And you can think of classification as sorting or categorizing, which you have done before. We're going to do that with numbers today. So please follow along with a whiteboard and marker or a pen and paper. Pause the video as many times as you need to follow along. So to start classifying, I'm going to make one large circle that all of my numbers can fit into. And I'm going to call this circle rational numbers. So all the numbers we're going to work with are going to fit into rational numbers. And if I look at rational, I see this word ratio in here. And a ratio is when one number is over another number. So that's my fraction form. And one thing I'd like you to remember about that is that numbers such as 3 can be written, so I have my 3 up here, it can be written in the way such as 3 over 1. So now I have one number over another number, and it fits my form of a ratio. We're going to keep that in mind as we move on. My next category is inside rational numbers. So this category I'm going to call integers. And I told some of you earlier that integers, when you asked, was just a fancy name for a number. Well, it's a little bit more than that. Integers can be numbers that are positive or they can be negative. So any number that is positive or negative. And then I also need to know that integers are numbers that do not have to be written in a ratio form like this. So I'm thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking about negative 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way on either sides of those. Inside of integers is another category that I call, or that everybody calls, whole numbers. And you've been working with whole numbers since preschool or kindergarten or whenever you started school in first grade. And whole numbers are all numbers that do not have to be written in this ratio form and that are also only positive. So there are no negative numbers in whole number category. So I'm going to look at my first number up here. I have 3. So remembering what I said earlier, 3 can be written as 3 over 1. So I know, since it's written as a ratio, that it is a rational number. Well, let's see if it fits into the next category. Does it have to be written as a ratio? Well, no, because I have that right here. It doesn't have to be in this ratio form. And I know that it's positive, so that fits in here, because it can be either positive or negative. So I'm going to write 3 as my integer. And remember, this just means 3 up here. Okay, so we know that 3 is a rational number. It is also an integer. Is it a whole number? Well, is it only positive? Yes. Does it have to be written in ratio form? No, it doesn't. So it is a whole number as well. Okay. Negative 5. I know that negative 5 can be written as negative 5 over 1. I have a ratio form right there. I know that it is a rational number. Negative 5. It can be written in this form. However, it does not have to be written in that form, which tells me that it's an integer. It's a negative integer. So let's write that in my integer box. Well, what do you think? Can it go into whole numbers? Is it a positive? No, it's not. So negative 5 does not go in here. Let's look at my next number, 0.25. 0.25, you might know off the top of your head, is equal to 1/4. Maybe you don't know that for sure, and you might have to rewrite it 25 over 100 with my decimal form, and I can see that it can be written as a ratio. This form right here is a ratio. Both of those forms are ratios. So I know that 0.25 is a rational number. I also know that 0.25 has to be written in decimal form or in a ratio form. So it cannot go into my integers category. If I look at 22/7, this has to have a decimal in it, or it has to be written in this form, a ratio form. So I know, I can see right now that it's written in ratio form, so I know it's a rational number. But because it has to be either a decimal or written as a fraction, it cannot go into my integers category. I see 4/4 as my next number. It is already written as a ratio, so I know it is a rational number. So I have 4/4 in my rational numbers. Now, does 4/4 have to be written that way, in the form of A/B? Well, I know that my number on the top is the same as the number on the bottom, and through my math in the past, I might remember that if a number is divided by itself, it equals 1. And just a little quick representation of that, if I have a candy bar that's split into 4 equal pieces, and I have all 4 of those pieces, I have one whole candy bar. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. And I know that 4/4 is equal to 1, and it does not have to be written in that ratio form, so I'm going to put it in my integers. Okay, can it go into whole numbers? Yes, because it's positive. There's no negative sign there, so I know that it can go into my whole numbers. Okay, and last but not least, I have -14/7. I see clearly right now that it is written as a rational number. I'm going to just put that in that category now. Can I simplify it down so it's not written as a ratio or a decimal? Yes, I know that 14 divided by 7 is equal to 2. Don't forget my negative number there. So I'm going to say that this is also equal to -2. Because it does not have to be written in my ratio form, I'm going to add it to my integers. It's a negative integer, and we know that my integers can be positive or negative. Because it's negative, it cannot go into my whole numbers category. So we sorted all these numbers, and I'm excited to see how you sort your numbers you get. There's one thing I want to tell you, which is just kind of a fact you'll need to know, that if I see 0, it is a whole number. 0 is not positive and it's not negative. We just need to know that it goes in the whole number category. All right, you guys, have fun with the rest of your activity.